Hey friends, welcome back. Okay, so if I look all dressed up in makeup, it's because I am. I just had an interview, it went really well. I got called back for the next round. So, very excited about that because we're going to be talking today about one of my new favorite topics, and it's insurance adjusting. So, clearly, I have a lot going on in my life, right? So, I keep saying this. I need to remember to do this. Lindsay, add this to your to-do list. What I do is link the reverse engineering video in this video description. Because if you haven't seen that video, go back in my videos and find that one. I talk about how I came to the realization and idea that I needed to switch what I was doing. So currently listen, if you hear noise, there's a storm. It's Florida, okay? There's always a storm. I can't do anything about the weather, and the lighting in the house is really bad because it's very dark outside because there's a storm. So, anyways, I took all these personality tests, I did all stuff, and claims adjusting kept coming to the top of the pile. And essentially what that is that's looking at damage reports or going out to damage sites. And this can be across several different fields. Excuse me, I've got the burps also. I just had like a massive protein shake, and I think I drank it too fast. So also you can see previous videos about how I'm on a GLP-1. And if I have too much food at one time, I get very burpy. Not the sulfur burps that other people are talking about, just like I'm not digesting as fast, which is definitely a tirzepatide side effect. But okay, let me get back to adjusting. So anyhow, I don't edit my videos, whatever I video, that's what gets posted. So here we are. Okay, so I was reverse engineering what I wanted to do when I grew up, and insurance adjusting kept coming to the top of the list for a multitude of reasons, but mostly because it can be very flexible. You can have a lot of say in how your day goes, and you can also work for like a carrier. There's lots of paths, there's lots of avenues. So my previous video before this is going to be, should you become an adjuster? And my answer right now is it depends. It depends on what your goals are. But let me talk you through what it looked like for me to become an adjuster. So, and then I'm going to do another video, I think, on like the interview process, how that's been going, trying to find a job in adjusting. So what it took to get there was, in my home state, which is Florida, you have to become a licensed insurance adjuster. And you can look up what that looks like for your state. Some states don't have licensing for that. Other states have really strict licensing. I feel like it wasn't that difficult to become an adjuster or to get the license here. You have to do a 40-hour course, which I did over the course of a month. I broke it up into chunks. And I did this while balancing 2 part-time jobs, plus being a wife and a mom, and applying for schools for my bachelor's. So, like, it's possible to get your license, at least in Florida, when you have a very busy schedule. You just have to be very diligent about scheduling when you're going to take the classes. So you can either DIY it, you can sign up to take the exam yourself, and pass it. And there's there's other avenues to do this, but the avenue, if you're starting from scratch, is that you need a 40-hour course in Florida. If your state, I don't know, there's some states out there that don't do licensing for this. If your state doesn't do licensing, but you're looking to become an insurance adjuster, you need a designated home state, which most people either choose Texas or Florida. That's probably because the training is fairly comprehensive for both those states. You get a pretty wide view of what insurance adjusting looks like across several sectors. And then from there, Florida and Texas have, I think, each like, they go back and forth, but I think right now Florida has like 27 reciprocal states. So if you pass the Florida exam, you don't have to pass the exams for those other states. You can just apply and get the license for that state, because those states accept Florida's exam as like enough for their purposes. And then I think Texas is like right behind. It might be like 26 states that they're reciprocal with or something. And I think those two go back and forth. But if you live in Florida, then you have to, if you live in a state that licenses for that home state, then you have to declare that that is your home state. So I live in Florida. I have to declare that that's my home state. That's the state that I had to get licensed in. So that's what I did. I chose to go with Adjuster Pro. I'm not sponsored. It was expensive. I went with the total package. They were running a deal at the time. I think it was $800. But $800 for the 40-hour class plus a bunch of continuing education, which if you're going to become an adjuster, you also need continuing education. It's not much different than like getting your teacher's license and then every 2 years or 4 years having to do continuing education to keep that license active. So an insurance adjusting license is similar in that regard. I went ahead and signed up for the more expensive package. One, because I had a little bit of disposable income when I was signing up for it, but two, because I wanted the extra certifications that those trainings that Adjuster Pro was offering at the time offered. So they offered an Xactimate training, which Xactimate is the software that property adjusters, a lot of property adjusters, it's the big software that property adjusters use to do their damage estimates. And then they do their sketching for like damages. So they offered a 12-hour training on top of the 40-hour class to pass the license exam. They offered a 12-hour training for Xactimate. They offered like a residential construction basics course, which counted as continuing education. They offered, along with this package, they also offered like, there was another thing. Oh, like the soft skills of adjusting, like how to be empathetic and things like that. So I haven't done that portion yet because I already am pretty good with people. But I've done all the other courses that the total adjuster package offered. So I don't know how much, I don't remember how much this package usually sells for, but for me it was about $800. Expensive, but it really launched me, I feel, into a really good direction. Because when I was just looking at the exam, you need to have, at least in Florida, the 40-hour course, and there's a multitude of providers that can offer this. At the time, Adjuster Pro was both the cheapest and most comprehensive out of all the different options that I looked at. So that's where I went. Also, I don't really need a whole lot of hand holding. I'm pretty smart. I'll figure it out, right? So here we are. I took the course. I passed my Florida exam on the first try. So you get like 5 tries or something with Adjuster Pro to pass your Florida exam. And they also have like, as you're going through the course with Adjuster Pro, you have a lot of quizzes that you take and a lot of like exams that you can take. And then they have a study bank and it shows you where you're weak, what quizzes you didn't do well on, what you can study to do better on in the future. And I really did utilize the heck out of that. The course was supposed to be 40 hours. I think I put in like 50. So for most days, so on the days that I nannied, I couldn't really work on it because that's an 8 to 6 kind of job. And then I'm also weightlifting Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays. And then I work at Publix on Friday, Saturdays. So like really my only days to do any sort of coursework on that was Thursdays. Thankfully, there was a section of time there where I was having like major health problems, or what we thought might be major health problems, and I had like 2 weeks off work. So I used those 2 weeks to really truck through that Adjuster Pro. So like, had I not had those 2 weeks, it would have probably taken me maybe 2 months to get through. It took me a month to get through the whole Adjuster Pro Florida licensing course. So it took me a month, and that was like an hour and a half at least every single day. Yeah, that's about what I did. About an hour and a half every day, except for maybe like Sundays. But even most Sundays, I tried to work for at least 30 minutes on it. I tried to move the needle a little bit every day. So the goal was to finish that course by the end of July and take the exam at the beginning of August and pass the exam by the end of August. I assumed, based on everything that I read, that the Florida exam was going to be really difficult. It was not. I passed it on the first try, and I didn't think I was going to pass it on the first try. It's not that, like, if you had never approached insurance claims or adjusting, I think it would have been difficult to pass because you would have had no idea what anything meant. But really, if you understand one section of insurance, like I really did well on the property insurance portion of my training. I did so on the vehicle and automobile portion of my training. I did pretty good on crops, like farming, and I did really well on inland marine. And I did so on like ocean insurance. So like there were obvious parts where I had strengths and weaknesses. But once you understand one, you kind of can grasp all of them. And then just using logical deduction on the exam, you can pretty much get rid of 2 answers on every single question. It's a 100-question exam. It was multiple choice. Just by using like reasoning, you could get rid of 2 answers on every single question. And from there, it was usually like the remaining 2 answers would be somewhat similar, and you would have to like know or at least have a reasonable guess. So I just read a lot of comments like on Reddit, and listen, stay off Reddit. It's not good for your brain. It's not good for your mental health. And people on Reddit are dumb. I can't. I was trying, but like, where do you go for this information? Because I looked online, I looked on YouTube. I couldn't find anybody who was talking about it. Not anybody recent anyway. And so, of course, I turned to the dregs of Reddit, and everybody on Reddit is like an idiot. I don't know. If you're on Reddit, I'm sorry. I called you an idiot. I'm not, though. Especially not if you're in the insurance forums on Reddit, because these people were talking about how hard this exam was. I think if you just did the class and you read the material, you could pass it, because that's all I did. I did the class. I read the material. I passed that exam on the first try. It wasn't that hard. It would have been hard if I hadn't read the materials and hadn't taken the class, because I would have had no idea what any of that stuff was talking about. But once you understand one arm of insurance, the rest of it all kind of follows. So even if the question is about something else, it wasn't a big deal. You could like just logically eliminate at least 2 of every of the answers. So anyways, passed on the first try. And I did not expect that. I actually took that exam as a practice test because I knew I had like 5 chances to take the exam. So I figured if I just took it and failed, not a big deal. I could retake it. But at least if I took it and failed, I would know where I was weak, because what was kind of happening was all of the Adjuster Pro answers were repeats, and I was learning. Like, I was starting to memorize. I have a photographic memory. So I was starting to memorize what each of the answers looked like instead of the underlying, like, theory as to why each of the answers was true or false. So I thought, okay, I just need to take this stupid test and figure out what I actually need to study, because I'm studying the same thing, like, over and over, and now I'm just learning what the answer is based on what it looks like, and not what the answer actually is, if that makes sense. So I took the test, and I was shocked that I passed it on the first time, because I did not expect to pass it. I thought it was going to be way harder, just based on everything I had read. It wasn't that hard. Okay, so now that we've covered that, so I passed the exam on the last day of July, and I had planned to have all of August to take that exam and get ready for it, but here we are at the end of August and I've already passed. So I got my license like August 3rd or something like that. It took a couple days for the state to process everything. One thing that I really appreciated about using Adjuster Pro was that they submitted everything for me. All I had to do on my end was go get my fingerprints taken and submit those, and then just like apply to the Florida insurance adjusters website through like the Department of Financial Services. And that wasn't difficult at all. And even on Adjuster Pro, they basically walk you through it step by step. So pretty much anybody could have done it. It just didn't feel that difficult. So, after that, I spent August going through the rest of the continuing education that was included with Adjuster Pro, the total package. So I took the construction basics first. That was, I think, 4 or 5 hours of continuing education. So that got submitted to the state. Then I took the Xactimate training next. That was 12 hours of continuing education. I signed up to do the Xactimate level 1 certification, which, depending on what route you want to go through in adjusting, you may or may not need Xactimate training. I don't believe that like auto professionals or commercial professionals use Xactimate to write their estimates. They use whatever the carrier is using. But in property adjusting, it's Xactimate and Symbolty or something like that. Doesn't matter. That's what they use for adjusting for the estimates. So I figured, why not just go ahead and sign up for it? To take the level 1 exam, it was $120, but they're running a deal, like a 20% off deal or something. So it was like $90 to take the exam. I haven't taken it yet. I'm going to take it either tonight or Sunday, because today's Thursday. So I'll probably take it tonight. The exam, I think you get a year to complete it, and it's open book. So like there's no excuse as to why you couldn't pass the Xactimate exam. But the training that Adjuster Pro offered, the webinar training, was really good. The teacher was really phenomenal. I don't think I'm going to have any problems passing this test. I feel pretty prepared for it. So that's what's next. During this time, so during July and August, I was applying for claims trainee positions. And I talked about this in my previous video. Finding someone that will hire you with no experience is really hard. You can have like, I'm trying to think about what I'm trying to say here. I'm sitting in the wrong space and now my arm hurts. Okay. So, because I'm holding my phone, because I'm too lazy to go upstairs and get my tripod. All right. So trying to land a staff or desk adjusting position when you have no experience is really difficult. You almost have to luck into it. I got on LinkedIn and I started talking with recruiters on LinkedIn and posting there pretty much every day. And I found a recruiter and she offered me a claims training position and I applied for it, and I've had a couple of interviews and I'm in the final rounds. I just realized how crazy my eyeliner is. It's fine. Everything's fine. I must have rubbed it after I got done with my interview. Anyways, so I had a recruiter reach out to me and I had an interview, and the interview went really well. So then I had a second interview and that interview went really well. So now I'm in the final interview, and hopefully that goes really well as well. And then I will get this claims training position. I don't know if that's everybody's experience that goes into claims. This particular training position is for auto, bodily injury, and property. So I would be gaining experience in all three of those realms of adjusting. There's way more realms of adjusting there, but starting out, those are good ones to touch because those are basically the biggest ones. And when I was looking at what type of adjuster I might want to become in the future, a daily adjuster who works from home and has like a territory is way more up my alley for where I'm at in life right now. A lot of adjusters get their start during a catastrophe, like major hurricanes back to back to back. And how that works is, as a new adjuster, you put your name on rosters, on catastrophe adjusting rosters for independent companies, and then insurance companies hire the independent companies to fill positions adjusting claims. But because there's so many claims adjusters out there with a ton of experience, if you don't have any experience and you don't have any letters behind your name, you're not going to get work at any of these firms, at these independent adjusting firms. And so you have to have some certifications, you have to have some kind of experience or something to get that type of work. Or the other way you can get that type of work is you can hope and pray, and this sounds horrible, that there are like 3 or 4 big enough hurricanes during the course of 1 year, or big enough disasters during the course of 1 year, that these IA firms have to dig really far down into their rosters to get to the inexperienced people that they deploy you. And you pray that you get deployed, and then because you've had no training and you don't know what you're doing, you better hope that you learn really fast on the job, because if you can't close claims quickly during a catastrophe, the IA firms will just send you home and they won't use you again. So, and then you've basically burned that bridge. So when I was reading all of that and researching all of that, what seemed to make more sense to me was to get experience through daily adjusting, something like auto claims. But when I was researching on this, it seemed like there was a lot of burnout in auto claims, because if you're good at it, they'll just keep dumping more work on you. And depending on who you work for, you just might have this expectation that you can churn and burn through claims like crazy, and then your work suffers because you're trying to do too much. So I think who you work for probably matters, and that's why I was specifically looking for a claims training position. Now, I must have applied to maybe 24 claims training positions, including workers' comp, property, auto, liability, even underwriting assistance, because underwriting is like claims adjacent. So I was applying to anything that was claims or claims adjacent that had training or trainee position attached to it. And I got rejected from like everything, which is super annoying, because how are you supposed to get experience if you can't get experience? Like, how are you supposed to get experience if you can't be trained? So something that I kept running into was that a lot of these trainee positions are actually being recruited for. And I did not realize that until a recruiter contacted me. And the reason that the recruiter contacted me is that she saw me posting on LinkedIn. And so what I was doing on LinkedIn was I was taking my daily experiences and attempting to translate them into claims adjacent sort of stuff. Like if I was meal prepping, I'd be posting my meal prep system, a picture of my meal prep system explaining how I'm a systems thinker. True, not related to claims, but you have to be a systems thinker to be good at claims. Posting how I was managing all these different schedules of all these different people in the family that I'm nannying for, keeping the details anonymous so that nothing personal is out there. But managing, as you can see, I'm managing a bunch of competing priorities and I'm killing it. That's a thing that a claims adjuster needs to be able to do. So I was just taking my everyday experiences and attempting to translate them into something that would work for claims adjusting. And a recruiter saw that, thought it was good. She recommended me for a position. That's how I finally got an interview. So just blindly applying to positions wasn't getting me anywhere. I don't know anybody in any of these companies. I don't have references that I can use. I don't have an employee that would recommend me. And a lot of the advice that I was seeing online was like, oh, apply to Progressive or Allstate or State Farm. And while that's all fine and well, applying and then getting auto rejected because I don't have a bachelor's is bananas. Bananas. Because the ATS system doesn't read that I'm working on my bachelor's and doesn't take that into consideration. It just looks that I don't have a bachelor's. So having a human intercept on this roller coaster ride was the best thing that could have happened. So if you're looking for a daily or staff adjusting position in claims and you need training, my advice would be to do what people who are scoring interviews are doing, which is posting on LinkedIn, using whatever experience you're currently doing, turning it into claims adjacent stuff. So talking about how you're a systems thinker, talking about how you can manage a bunch of competing priorities at once, talking about how you delegate tasks, talking about how you are reliable, how you do the same things over and over and over. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, I post my workout because I lift every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Those are things that I do because I have a system in place that helps me to do that. And then posting occasionally, like maybe every 10th post is like a personality post. Something like, oh, here's something that I've observed that I found funny or whatever, because not everything about me is related to how I would be good at claims because I haven't had an opportunity to do claims. I don't know if I'd be good at it. I'm assuming I would be because everything I have researched tells me that I probably would be good at it. But a personality post, because companies and recruiters in particular, although they're looking to fill roles, they also want quality candidates. And so they want someone with some personality. And nothing stupid. Don't interact with stupid things on LinkedIn. Listen, I hate that I live in the country and I have neighbors that do this. We live in the country. Keep your music to yourself, please. Nobody wants to hear it. Not your neighbors. Okay, so anyways, all that to say that, like, that's how I landed my first couple of interviews, and they've gone well so far. So here I am, fingers crossed, hoping and praying that this next interview goes really well and that I get offered the position, the final position, because I feel like this position would allow me to touch multiple areas of claims and get a good feel for what I actually want to do long term. But that is how that all sort of went down. So I didn't feel like the exam was hard to pass. Just read the material and do the work and it'll be fine. You'll pass it. My other suggestion would be don't attempt to memorize the questions on the tests because it's easy to do. It's easy to just memorize and not understand like the formulas or the underlying reasons behind why something is the way it is. I relied heavily on AI, Claude in particular, to help me study. When I was really struggling with a concept, I would go in there and have it explain a concept to me like I was 12. And then if I still couldn't understand it, I would say, explain it to me like I'm 6 and use examples, right? Not that I'm dumb, but sometimes like if you're new to a concept, you need it broken down to its most basic function so that you can then say, oh, okay, I don't know about this, but I know about this adjacent thing, and now I can make the connection. So that was really helpful. But yeah, so basically don't sweat it. The Florida exam was not that big of a deal as long as you do the work ahead of time. If you don't do the work ahead of time and you're posting on Reddit about how hard it was to pass, that's on you, bro. That's on you. So then after that, it's been a month now, or almost just a little under a month since I passed the exam and became a licensed adjuster. I've been posting on LinkedIn like every day for 2 months. It took a month and a half for a recruiter to reach out to me. and I've been making connections in the insurance industry on LinkedIn. I have talked to a couple of old guys out there who have given me a bunch of pointers about how to structure my LinkedIn page to attract more attention, what sort of designations or certifications I should be looking at, how to reach out to people. Even a couple of these old guys who are like retired have reached out to me and asked for my resume. So the insurance world is small. Claims is even smaller. Don't be posting on LinkedIn about how hard all of it is, because it makes you look like a whiny baby. And it also, like, I don't know, like, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It is hard to get that first break. But I wish somebody would have told me ahead of time, like, expect this to take a while, right? Like, and I talked about this in my previous video. Expect the process to take a while. I think you can speed it up some by being a little more intentional, which I've definitely learned. And then keep applying to those claims trainee positions. Try to figure out who the recruiters are that have those jobs. I just sent, like, the recruiter that recruited me for the job that I've interviewed, she mentioned that she is hiring a couple other people in adjacent roles and asked if I knew anybody, and I happened to know somebody on LinkedIn that connected with me. I don't know her personally, but I know that she's looking for a claims job, so I sent her profile to the recruiter. Is that going to pan out? I don't know, but it doesn't cost me anything to send that profile to the recruiter, and I let the recruiter know, like, I don't know this person personally, so I can't vouch for them as a person, but I know that they are looking for a claims job, so you could always reach out to them. And then the recruiter did. So I don't know how that's all going to pan out, but it doesn't cost me anything to be kind. So here we are. If you guys could be praying for me, I'll be praying for you. The Florida exam wasn't hard. Just do the work and you'll be fine. All right. So love you. Bye.